I'm willing to wager that all of us who have gathered here today know people who make it their business to tell everyone else what to do, to point out all their mistakes, their sins, their errors, and be sure to tell them how they have to change. In fact, probably some of us could find those people simply by going to the mirror and looking into it. And we all know that kind of response, that kind of attitude, doesn't really get us very far. As human beings, none of us like to be told what to do. We don't like others telling us how wrong we are, how evil, what sins we've committed. And when we're confronted with that kind of behavior, very rarely does it push us in the right direction. It simply causes us to go further away. The only thing that really accomplishes is making the person doing the judging, the condemning, the ordering around feel superior. Look at me. I'm so good and you're so bad. Now I can tell you what's wrong with you and what you need to change. But Jesus again and again and again says he has not much use for those who are self-righteous, pointing out everybody else's faults, ignoring their own. We see a completely different approach, a much more effective approach in the second reading today, from the very short letter of Paul to Philemon. To understand what was going on, we need a little background. Philemon was a fellow Christian. Paul, as he says in the letter, an old man, imprisoned for preaching the good news. Onesimus was a slave of Philemon, who apparently had become attached to Paul and ran away from his master, took refuge with Paul. While Paul was in prison, Onesimus served him very well, and Paul grew very attached to him. That is what led to what we hear in the reading today. Now, Paul, as an apostle, is the great apostle to the Gentiles. Very easily could have told Onesimus, or told Philemon, look, it is not right for you to keep another person as property, as a slave. So he stays right here with me. I'm not sending him back to you. That's not what he chooses to do. Instead, he chooses to appeal to you, encouraging him gently to do the right thing. He remarks how precious Onesimus has become to him and how much he relies on him, and how he trusts that Philemon, as a Christian himself, understands what is right. And he humbles himself, saying, I would like to keep him here with me, but I don't want to do anything without your consent. So I'm sending him back to you. But I trust that you will receive him as you would receive me, as a brother, not a slave. And it seems that gentle approach of Paul, encouraging Philemon, encouraging him in love, did the trick. We see in further letters the name Onesimus mentioned as one of the leaders of Christian communities. We can't be sure that it's one and the same person, but most likely it is. And so it appears that Philemon was open to that appeal to his heart. and released Onesimus, no longer seeing him as a slave, but as Paul so gently begged him, as a brother. We have a lot to learn from Paul's approach. Rather than lambaste others and point out their faults and tell them how wrong they are and what sinners, telling them how they have to change, we should do the gentle, loving approach of Paul, encouraging others, not demanding that they change, not condemning them, but with words of love, gently challenging them to a new way of life. And that approach certainly will bring more converts than the one of condemnation and judgment. We, of course, are called to go forth, to proclaim the good news, to challenge others, to lead those, to lead all to the gospel. Remember the old saying, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. And when it comes to challenging those who have strayed from Christ or who have never known him, that saying is also true. An approach, an appeal in love, a challenge rooted in true concern and love for the other. As Paul has shown us, undoubtedly will bear more fruit than the self-righteous behavior, which simply makes me feel better about myself. It does nothing to lead the other to Christ.